many of you have heard of B corporations? Wow, that is way more than I thought. And I'm glad I'm coming after Kate's because some of the stuff in this presentation will be using how do you incentivize business to want to either not track your data or use the data in exactly the way that Kate is aspirational for. So my story about B corporations, I'm going to tell you first about how I came to learn about B corporations, and then I'm going to talk to you about what B corporations are, because I know a lot of people know what they are, but it's slightly confusing sometimes because it's a movement, it's a certification, and it's a legal form. So bear with me. So actually, my story starts in criminal justice. So I have a background in psychology and a master's in criminal justice policy. So I have no sustainability background. My whole goal was to reform the prison system. That was kind of my aspiration when I was younger, and to really try and look at why are people committing crimes and then going back to prison over and over and over again. So I worked for a group home in San Francisco Bay Area called Seneca Center, and I worked with emotionally troubled youth. It was kind of my in the trenches job. So I had my degrees, but then I was like, well, who am I to say what criminals and the criminal justice system needs without working directly in the field? So I worked at Seneca Center, I got punched in the face, I got spit on, I got kicked, I got called lots of names, but I was happy, for some reason I was happy because I felt like I was finally authentic. I wasn't just an ivory tower academic. So my brother had studied environmental sciences in undergrad, and he turned me on to 2 books. So I have no background in sustainability, and my brother shows me these 2 books. One is Cradle to Cradle. It's kind of how you reinvent things and design things to be more sustainable. And then Natural Capitalism by Paul Hawken, kind of one of the first books to really talk about how to use business for good. So these 2 books changed how I felt I could be most effective in the world. And so at Seneca Center, the nonprofit, I had these books, and I kind of had a fire, and I just sent a random email to the CEO at 9:30 at night and said, hey, I just read these 2 books. I think we could be green if we, changed our light bulbs and updated our, inflated our tires in our cars so that they're more efficient. And I get a call on my cell phone at 9:40 p.m. And this is a group home with 38 facilities and 1,000 employees and 4,000 kids. And he called me and says, hey, Ryan, you can be our sustainability director. And so all of a sudden, I had read 2 books, and I was the sustainability director for this large nonprofit. So I was excited, but clearly very scared. So after doing that for a year, I decided to start my own consulting business. So a complete 180, 360 change to being from psychology and law, psychology and criminal justice to sustainability. That's when I first heard about, that's my, I'm speaking to a crowd voice, my picture. I first learned about B corporations. So the reason I'm excited about B corporations, as a sustainability consultant, you often talk to CEOs and business owners about being green or being socially and environmentally responsible. But the problem is that people want to be more sustainable and want to be more socially responsible, but they don't know what to do. And so what the B Corp gave me as a consultant was a framework and a way to talk to people about sustainability in a way that was measurable, that was tangible, that was comparable, and that had a global community of businesses that were trying to redefine what success meant in business. So the three things I was most excited about was this holistic framework. So to be able to go to a CEO or a company and say, here's exactly what you need to do to be green. And it's no longer, Patagonia's over here and Ben & Jerry's over there, and everyone's defining what it means differently. This is a systematic, holistic framework. So the B Corporation looks at 4 aspects. It looks at your worker treatment, your environmental impact, your governance models, and your community involvement. And so it's the first system that really looks at, it's not about your light bulbs, and it's not about a compost bin in the corner. It's about everything you do as a business and a way to put that into a metric that business owners love to optimize. We all love to, if there's a number, you want to make the number higher. If it's, the problem is that right now it's short-term profits. So everyone's trying to optimize short-term profits, and the externalities of that is social and environmental damage. So the B Corp gave me a framework to talk to business owners about sustainability. The second thing is that I was excited about this global community. So it's not just 150 companies in Berkeley kind of talking amongst themselves. This is a global movement. There's 38 countries that have certified B corporations. There's 1,200 B corporations around the world. Mongolia has B corporations, Afghanistan, Kenya, the United States, obviously, Canada. And so it's a global movement. And the community was people I was excited. The brands within that community are people that I felt were being a change that you want to see in the world. So Patagonia, Ben & Jerry's, Etsy, we heard Warby Parker earlier, King Arthur Flour, Kickstarter just became a B corporation. So a lot of these innovative leading companies were certified. And the third thing that was most exciting, excitement is the most exciting. The third thing that was very exciting for me was that Bill Clinton was excited about B corporations, the New York Times. The 2013 Nobel laureate in economics, Robert Shiller, said he thinks B corporations will make more profits than other types of companies. So it's companies that consider more than just profits that are actually considered to be more profitable. And it's not just a few greeniacs saying that. There's studies by Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, Deloitte, Harvard Business School, MIT, that are saying that these companies that are considering community involvement, environmental issues, these are the most profitable companies. And so for me, it was exciting to be part of something that was that really resonated with what I believed. So the second part, let's go into what is a B corporation. So I mentioned it's a movement of people. So it's a global movement of companies who are trying to redefine success in business. And then, so that's the macro scale. On a micro scale, it's both a certification and there's a legal framework. And I'll talk about those two. So it's kind of small, but this is J. Cohen Gilbert. And he says, B corporations are a new type of company that uses the power of business as a force for good. So the story behind why B corporations came about is Jay founded a basketball company called And One. Has anyone heard of And One basketball? They did like the street balling videos, like crazy slam dunks. And it's totally a company you wouldn't consider to be socially responsible. So in 1991, he founded it. He scaled it in the year 2000. He became the #2 company behind Nike in terms of basketball apparel. And in 2005, they sold the company. And the thing that really got to what the thing that was most challenging for Jay is that in 2005, And One they donated 5% of profits to charity, they had yoga classes, they had great employee benefits. And when you're selling a company, the people that are trying to buy your company, you're actually legally obligated to take the highest bid. So if you have to sell your company to a company that's offering the highest amount of money, no matter what their social and environmental policies are. When Jay sold And One in 2005, the company that bought And One, within 6 weeks, removed all of their social and environmental benefits. And so the company was completely stripped. And so this has happened to people like to Ben & Jerry's, Burt's Bees, a lot of those great charismatic entrepreneurs who start a business from the beginning. It's how do you keep that momentum beyond the original charismatic founder? And so the two needs within the social and environmental community. So when Jay sold his company, he talked to people who were in the impact investing space, people who were in the social business space, and said, what do you guys need? Like, what are the most important things? The two things they said were, we need standards, so a way to tell a good company from just good marketing. So for example, Chevron, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, Chevron's in Richmond, and they have LEED certified buildings, which is good, but you wouldn't consider Chevron to be a green business. And so they really said, we need a way to say, your product is good, but what's your whole company doing on a holistic scale? And the second thing they said they needed was a legal framework to allow a company to put into its foundational legal documents that we will consider more than just profits when making decisions. And so it gives entrepreneurs the freedom. So as you're scaling your business and say you take on investors to raise venture capital, and say that investor now owns 50% of your business, previously that investor could say, hey, this green stuff you're doing, that was cool in the first year. Let's get rid of that so we can jack up the profits and potentially get a sale. So if you're a benefit corporation, you can actually protect that mission statement legally. And so you're no longer obligated to consider short-term profits only. And I'll talk about that in a little more. So last 20 years, we've had fair trade, we've had LEED certification, we've had Energy Star, we've had organic. But if you have an organic apple, that's great. It's a sustainably sourced apple, but it doesn't tell you about the worker who picked it. And so the next 20 years is ideally let's look at the whole company. And this is, for those of you coming to my workshop tomorrow, I'll talk about this in more detail, but briefly, one of the best parts of the B Corp certification is this nutritional label they put on companies. So It tells you in detail their governance, their workers, their community, and environment scores. And so it's putting numbers to what these companies are doing. And there's an inherent competitive nature that humans have, which is why capitalism works, that says, whatever that number is in my competitor, I want to beat it. And so right now, it's short-term profits. It's like, what is our quarterly earnings? Let's try and beat the company. So you're kind of not paying attention to all these other issues. But with the B Corp, the B impact assessment, you can say, if I'm 115 and this other competitor is 130, what are they doing to get to that score? So you're creating an incentive to say, let's not create a race to be the best in the world, but a race to be the best for the world. So that's right. So the legal side of it, in 27 states in the United States, they've passed laws creating benefit corporations. So just to clarify, certified B Corporation is a certification. It's like a third-party stamp. It's like kind of good housekeeping seal of approval. It means you've met those standards. A benefit corporation is like an LLC or a C corporation or an S corporation. So it's actually your foundational legal documents. And within those documents is where you write things like, we want to consider more than just profits when making decisions. So to kind of counter Kate's example, I mean, not to counter, but to expand off of Kate's example, does anyone know what company this is? Ello, right. So Ello is a social network that was called the anti-Facebook. So Ello is all about privacy and not selling you ads. So in last fall, Ello was getting 50,000 new registered users every hour. And last week, they had 250,000 people sign up just last week. So there's this huge rush away from what is seen as Facebook's manipulation of your privacy rights towards a company that says, we will never sell your ads, and we will never show you ads, and we will never sell your privacy data. What the benefit corporation legal structure did for Ello is Twitter and Facebook also said, we don't want to sell you ads in the beginning when they were small. The problem is those good intentions, as you scale, maybe you get some investors, maybe you start to say, hey, we want to be public. We got to really generate some revenues and make our books look good before we go public. So what Ello did is said, we're going to become a benefit corporation legally in Delaware. And within our corporate charter, we're going to say we will never sell your privacy information, and we will never sell you ads. So they're now legally responsible to never sell ads, to never show you ads, and to never sell your data. And that's great for us as the consumer, because now you can use that product and they're actually holding themselves accountable to that standard. So I'll give you a few resources before my last minute's up. There's 3 things. So for those of you interested in learning more about B corporations, there's something called the B Impact Assessment. And for those of you who can't read it, it's bimpactassessment.net/quick. And what this is that it's the free tool that any company can use to evaluate their business on those metrics: workers, government, environment, and community. And you do not have to become a certified B Corporation to use this tool. It's a free certification tool. So giant companies like Unilever have used it, even though they're potentially not going to become a B Corporation. And companies like me, I'm a one-person certified B Corporation. And so you don't have to be a giant company. You can be a small business. So that's a great way to kind of get your feet wet. There's a quick assessment. It takes about 20 minutes to do. The second thing is I wrote a book last fall called the B Corp Handbook. And the reason I wrote it is because I had a lot of trouble explaining what a B Corporation was, as some of you are kind of looking at me like, what is a B Corporation? So the book is helpful in 3 ways. It's got the 10 benefits of becoming a B Corporation, because there's a lot of value that's perhaps not explainable in a 15-minute presentation. The second piece is it has a 6-week quick start guide. And then the third piece is it's got 100 different interviews with all the different types of B corporations. So if it's marketing, if it's HR, if it's manufacturing, you can pick your business type and read more about it. And the last thing I'll say is here's my email address. I'm open to emails. If you have questions, comments, you're welcome to email me. Thank you.